Dude, Luke, the printer's still busted. What the fuck, man?
Which part of the dress code do you understand?
So I'm like not getting my girlfriend's Snapchats. Are you working on something?
Look at your PC load better. What the fuck does that mean?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 50 of the Topless Robot Podcast. My name is Ryan.
I'm not racist.
Ow. I'm Dan.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Tyler.
Oh,
Hey.
oh! I cut him off.
And
I'm
that's
Aaron.
Aaron, too.
I'm not used to the mics. I'm Aaron.
Everyone, welcome our guest Aaron to the podcast.
Hi. Hello, Aaron.
Aaron is in an Arizona band called Forming Stories and also does the AZ local show, which we'll get into a little bit more in depth later. I am going to ask one of you to bring up our super highly official Google Doc. Because
Summon the parchment of knowledge!
I got it.
I already don't remember what the fuck I put on that Google Doc, but we may as well start with Mega Man ZX.
Ooh. Yeah, well, it's more than just Mega Man ZX. Let me tell you. Actually, this is the first time that they're being released outside of their original release on the DS. But there's this the Mega Man 0 and ZX Legacy Collection. That's a lot. That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
But it's going to be across all major platforms, and I cannot wait. I'm actually more excited by the fact that it's going to make our covering that easier.
Yeah, no kidding.
So Dan doesn't have to play on a DS.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a shame too, though, because I have that Capture DS, like that we can actually capture 3DS games on it. Now we don't really need it for that anymore.
We can use that to film Tyler playing Tokyo Beatdown.
Okay.
So you guys are gonna have to break down everything we talk about that's nerdy. Because, so is it
So a video game.
Was it only on the DS before? You're saying
It was only on the DS
and it's
before.
just the same game, but now it's getting.
Yeah, it's getting ported. I
Yep.
don't know if it's getting a remaster or not.
It's 6 games. It's a series that was on the DS.
Yeah.
the best
and,
Mega Man series of all time.
I know what Mega Man is. I know of his existence.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you're aware of what a DS is.
Yeah,
And,
it's the handheld
video
Game Boy,
games.
right? It's
Yep.
like a Game Boy.
Yep. Yes.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I remember.
Our little champ.
He grows up so fast.
But yeah, so far Capcom has released the original Mega Man Legacy collections in 2 parts. So it's all the old NES Mega Man games.
And then all the
they've
shitty
done
ones.
the Mega Man X Legacy collections, which is all the Mega Man X games, which started on Super Nintendo and went all the way up to PlayStation.
Nice.
And so now this is the first time that they're re-releasing the Mega Man 0, Mega Man ZX games.
Can you put in cheats and kill people?
No.
Oh.
I mean, you
Well,
can
then it's not
you
my
can
game.
kill robots.
You can kill robots with mastery and skill, but it's not very. The Mega Man games in general aren't very cheat heavy. They never.
Yeah,
really
I remember using a Game Genie when I was a kid.
Yeah, Game
in
Genies. I
order
was all
to-
about. I think that's where my problem started. That's probably
using
Game Genie's taught you that life was a
performance
lot
enhancing
easier than it
software
actually
on
was.
your gaming. That's shameful.
So Brooks and Dan, being the biggest Mega Man fanboys, are Topless Robot resident fanboys, and together are Mega Dan Brooks.
yes, that is amazing.
They are taking this new information with
Much excitement, right?
little bit of excitement.
A lot of excitement. I
shared-
wildly fist pumped in the air when I first heard about it.
I shared it. I shared the link when I found out about it to our group chat, and Brooks just goes, "What? Yeah!
Fuck!
Fuck! That's what it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Then he started wildly dancing around. It was interesting.
You need to stop looking at my baby monitor feed.
I was gonna say, I'm curious how you knew that through the group chat because I didn't see that.
It's very
Don't
large
ask
and
questions to
suspicious.
answer-
A Great
don't ask
American
questions that
seal
you
on my
don't
wall
know
with
the
a
answers
camera
to.
inside of it.
There was a lot of crosstalk there.
Yeah.
I heard your joke. It was bad. What did you say?
Well, my joke was also bad because I don't think anyone here would get it. We're just gonna let that one go.
All of your
We're
jokes.
just gonna let that one go. Sometimes I tell something relevant. When I break out the MacGyver jokes.
or your
Those are
Moby Dick
always-
jokes.
Yeah, Moby Dick.
Those are always relevant. Both of those, 100%.
To give you an idea of who Brooks is as a person, on the birthday of Moby Dick, he brought a copy of Moby Dick to the podcast. It was the 300th anniversary?
200.
Anniversary of Moby Dick.
Oh, yeah.
And
Just had it in his
he just had
backpack.
it, yeah.
To be fair, I have like everything in this bag.
And he
also-
always has at least one book in his backpack.
Yes.
Well, let's see what books I have today.
when we went to when we did Game On,
Books. Books
20,000
of
Leagues Under the Sea.
Of course.
Oh, and it's the cool. Is that the
Is it supposed
Barnes
to be
Noble
shiny, or
version?
did you paint it that way so you could see it at night?
You see, I wish. That's a really good idea. I need to start painting all the fucking
Where's
books
my
I-
book?
all of his
Where's
books
my
are just
book?
neon?
No, I put them under my pillow, so I just absorb them in my sleep. You guys don't learn through osmosis? Because, like, you're missing out.
That was a joke that a middle school teacher would make.
Sometimes I'm...
Mr. Wilson, I don't get the joke. I didn't do the homework.
Detention.
But yeah, when we did our panel at Game On, I can't even remember someone was making a reference to the Princess Bride or said
Yeah.
something or was trying to think of the name of the Princess Bride or something like that.
Brooks just pulled
And Brooks just pulled the book out.
Oh my god.
It was unplanned,
You're that
just
guy?
someone who was attending, our panel, and he just had the book that they were just talking
They
about.
lost their minds, and I
Yeah.
think we all did.
And you guys are married now, right? Or
No, we're not married.
And that's how he met his mother. Wait,
And kids, that's how I met your mother.
No.
That's great.
Before we get too deep into the podcast, there is one thing that I want to touch on that is before we get all goofy and too late, I know.
I'm sorry for the herpes.
Something that should be mentioned at the very least is Zoe Quinn's recent sexual abuse allegations.
I'm not familiar with that.
So you guys are familiar with basically the smoking gun that started Gamergate, right?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
So that was Zoe Quinn and her relationship with a Kotaku writer. And Zoe Quinn wrote, made the game Depression Quest, and it was written up favorably in Kotaku by a person she was dating, which is at the core of Gamergate, the foundation of the Gamergate movement, honesty in journalism and things like that. Unfortunately, it got all fucking shit fuck, like things on the internet tend to do, and became an extremely misogynist movement that made a lot of female identifying people in the gaming industry fear for their lives because they were being doxxed left and right. They were receiving death threats and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so Zoe Quinn, as a result of their being essentially the catalyst to the gamer, that situation being the catalyst to the Gamergate movement, has been someone who is often under scrutiny by these frothing, fedora-wearing jackasses.
Degens.
Yes,
Fucking
degens.
degens.
And so she recently came out about with a story of sexual abuse because she was inspired by someone else coming out with their story about someone who was legendary in the gaming industry and how hesitant they were to come forward about it. And so she came forward about her own. And it was, I can't remember his name, Zach something, something like that. He worked on Night in the Woods, which is a, very wonderful, indie game. And he has a lot of titles that he's worked on. He's worked on Towerfall with the team that made Celeste, with Matt Makes Games, and stuff like that. Their allegations were backed by several other people. Once they came forward with their story, several other people came forward with their own stories, and people who had worked with this guy said they're not even the slightest bit surprised. As much as they love him and what he produces, they were not at all shocked to learn any of this, and the whole stuff was corroborated by many other people. And so the Night in the Woods group cut ties with him.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 days later, he killed himself.
Mm.
So Zoe Quinn is no longer on Twitter. Many people involved in the situation have completely cut off of Twitter, because Twitter is a toxic cesspool of judgment and frothing stupidity.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's the chosen platform of our God Emperor.
So the whole situation sucks.
Yeah.
And people, have come out railing against Zoe Quinn, but I can't imagine how hard it is to come forward about your own abuse and by someone who was very influential.
Yeah. For
sure. And furthermore, for it to be corroborated by several others, and by anyone who has worked closely with this guy, reacting with zero surprise whatsoever. They were stories going around were basically don't leave your female employees in the same room as this guy kind of stuff. Apparently, he had identity disorder and multiple, mental disorders that caused him to be erratic and abusive. And in the past 2 years, he had sought help and was improving. So good on him for bettering himself and whatnot, but that doesn't erase past traumas and doesn't erase, past
No, not at all.
behavior.
If you're gonna, if you want to dance, you got to pay the band.
It's
And-
unfortunate that he then went on to kill himself.
Yeah.
But,
Even that's really unfair to the victim and stuff.
Yeah.
Too, man. Totally. That would be really frustrating.
and his killing himself has been an even greater catalyst for the, frothing, masses, the internet masses, to come out in full force. Which is, I think, what led to a lot of people kind of terminating their Twitter accounts or going full private. Even the Matt behind Matt Makes Games, who did Towerfall and Celeste, their Twitter is private, and they're a public figure who has to be on Twitter in order to let people know what they're working on. Their Twitter is locked down on private. So,
Wow.
the whole situation is really sad and really fucked up. I think it's important that people know about the story. I think it's even more important for the message that I want to get out to, however 20 people listen to this. Don't be that asshole who feels like you need to interject or attack, people, especially people who are speaking of abuse and things like that on Twitter. Don't be that person. That person has no place in this world.
Yeah, those people fucking suck.
Yeah.
They're
And-
fucking awful.
Yeah.
Every single thing that you react to with a very easy fuck you is significantly more nuanced than you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the big mistake about Twitter, is how easily it forms the mob mentality. It doesn't matter what side of the argument anyone's on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, well, everyone else is saying fuck you. I'm going to do that too. Cool.
And it's easy because no one knows who I am.
Yeah, it's consequence free for
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Amount of people that are able to just read a headline too and form an opinion based on just that headline. Just
Yeah.
as basically what Twitter is. You see that headline, and Reddit in general, internet in general, we get the headline culture where it's like you don't get into the nitty gritty of what
yeah,
the
for
details
sure.
and everything.
Which is why I love that we're in an age where people can't differentiate between something being a satire headline and a real headline.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
And
awesome.
I love
you,
when
Hard
they point
Times.
out how fucking stupid they are.
What scares me all the time is how easy it is to look something up and people just right away share shit when it takes 2 minutes to clarify something,
Yeah.
if it's true.
And that was going to be my next point is I tend to, and Dan and you and I have talked about this, I tend to, my initial reaction is to believe the victim. Someone making a claim of their abuse, my gut instinct is to believe them because why would they lie about it?
Right.
And it's a horrible thing to lie about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
You wouldn't want to assume that somebody's lying about something like that. Yeah, totally.
But even in this case, I try to just get more information because aside from the initial post, I started looking into, what various responses from people who were close to the situation or close to the people involved were. And it doesn't take a lot to find those. And when all the signs are pointing to backing up, and in this instance, and in this instance, and in this instance, these kinds of things were going on, then it paints a pretty clear picture.
Yeah.
Again, it's unfortunate that it led to a death at all. I don't, even if he was still a piece of shit, abuser, I don't think that automatically means that they deserve to die. I think that justice is better than death.
Yeah.
Stay here and suffer with the rest of us.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah. But
Quote unquote suicide.
Oh boy.
And I think if he truly had finally been diagnosed and been making strides and becoming a better person, then there's a case to be made for that. And I wish that he would have stuck around to make that case.
Yeah. So speaking of degens on the internet, are we
Yeah.
going to talk about the Joker movie now?
I suppose.
It's a
Only
segue
if
if I've ever heard
Yeah,
one.
only if we have the requisite talk about society as well.
Society, which we are a part of, listeners.
It is a reflection on society if I've ever heard it.
31 times, I believe, in the IGN review.
Yep, 31 times. I
So
read it this
I've
morning.
heard that it is an outstanding standalone film.
Yeah,
So
I have too.
that's like as much of a shitpost as all of the reviews are. I do want to say I think it's probably going to be a good movie.
That
It-
last trailer was pretty solid.
I was gonna say it looks great, like even just like visually, like how the cinematography that I've seen so far, it looks really, really
Well, I mean,
cool.
when they got Joaquin Phoenix to do it,
And, yeah,
he's a
Joaquin
champ,
Phoenix-
They got
so-
a real
He's a
crazy
great
person
actor, man.
to play a crazy character.
Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor.
Yeah,
And
He really nailed the emaciated look.
yeah.
Because he might have actually become emaciated to do
I'm
it.
pretty sure he
He
definitely
probably-
did the Christian Bale
Yeah.
machinist.
I
Yeah.
believe it, man.
Yeah.
I said it right that time.
You
Yeah.
did say it right. I was going to call you out for saying it wrong
I know
because I
you did.
expected you to say it wrong.
he turns
Yeah, he's-
sideways and looks
he had
like
that ready.
all you
All
see
right.
is a
Like,
dot.
oh.
So here is a good fake user review of the
Oh,
Joker
yeah.
film. 5 stars and a heart is the rating here.
Great, he's gonna read my fan fiction.
I was gonna say, hold on, let me get on the right voice.
This film is my Black Panther. This movie empowered me. It helped me get over my rejection from the female known as Veronica, who'd rather date a Chad instead of a true gentleman who would treat her well. Amazing cinematography and a great performance from Joaquin Phoenix, who has fortunately moved on from artsy-fartsy hipster trash like her. Films like Joker are true art that often get misunderstood by filthy normies who watch MCU kiddie movies instead of challenging, thought-provoking kino like Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Wow.
The thing I hate about that is how convincing that is.
Yeah, it is confirmed to be a joke review. However, it is definitely a sign of things to come.
It is the written sentiment of people who would not write their sentiment.
For real. Okay, so here's the follow-up question then. It being the 1st of September and all. How many Joker costumes do you think we're gonna see floating around on Oh man.
Yeah, I think we're getting so away from it that people are going to be in like the Scream Ghostface and like little kids will think it's Joker.
Oh god.
Oh my god, that's Joker. I like that. I like that version.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be because I mean, the makeup in the Joker is
A clown.
yeah. So how many people are just gonna do like clown in a trench coat?
Yeah,
Kinda,
it's
I mean,
pretty
let's-
easy to pull off.
Let's be honest.
5
has the
clowns in a
amount
trench
of
coat,
people
that's harder
dressing
to
up
pull
as
off.
the Joker really decreased in the years since The Dark Knight? I mean,
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
like it's still every Comic-Con.
Oh
there's
yes,
at least.
every Comic Con you'll see a
You want to say I got these scars? I ate these Hot Pockets way too fast.
I'm now hashtag damaged.
Yeah.
But still it hasn't had the staying power of the Harley Quinn.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
I like classic Harley.
Well,
I love classic Harley.
When I
Classic
think,
Harley is fucking the way to go.
Yeah, we're talking like the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
the cartoon one's cool.
Proper like full jumpsuit.
Big hammer.
Red,
Yeah,
white, or
Jester,
black or red,
Jester
black, or
Harley.
Mhm. Shit, I lost train of thought. I actually had something interesting.
You're gonna talk about those Harley titties?
No.
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 Oh, the Harley Quinn thing. I view the Harley Quinn costume like the ones we see all the time now, in the same vein as. Do you guys remember like going to the mall and seeing like those shirts with like SpongeBob, but he's like all decked out and like with like a grill and like a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like Gangster Popeye.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of Harley Quinn now.
Yep.
Because that's what it is.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Point out really quick though.
The patron
Margot
saint of
Robbie's
meth addicts and trailer parks.
Harley Quinn was really good. That movie may have been a train
She
wreck.
does play it great.
She was really good.
We talking about Margot Robbie?
Yeah.
Right.
She does a crazy thing with
I
her
hate
eyes
that
where
movie.
she like widens them a little
That
bit.
movie sucked. That movie was terrible.
S-U-X.
But she was very good.
It I'm still not on board with the over sexualization of the female characters in the Batman universe in general. I prefer the Jester Harley because she is greatly and never mind that the relationship between Harley and the Joker is not something to be romanticized.
No.
Yet it
It's
is
bad.
constantly romanticized.
She leaves him for Poison Ivy.
Yeah,
Which
it
is great.
Abusive.
Wait, what?
Two
Yeah.
scientists finally together,
Yep.
enjoying their relationship in crime.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
I could see that.
What else did we have on the list? You
Star
got the-
Wars. We didn't talk
Okay.
about Star Wars last week.
There's
We
a-
didn't talk about
There's a Star Wars TV show. Okay, moving on.
I am legitimately super freaking excited for the Star Wars Mandalorian show.
Disney Plus, right?
Disney
Yep.
Plus.
Those bastards.
I have to be convinced
Those
still.
bastards.
And they've said
mean-
that Disney Plus is all going to be kid friendly.
Yeah. Did they?
Boo.
Yes.
Boo.
They're pulling all of Fox's
Kid
R
friendly.
titles. They're pulling. There is not going to be a single R title among anything.
So
on
what are they
Disney.
That
trying to say
trailer
about
was
the Disney
very
Channel?
dark looking, though. That whole scene with
It's
the
not going to be
iris-
higher than a PG-13.
I'm okay with PG-13.
Well, and I mean, there's a lot of things that Disney can do in a PG-13 movie that would still make it comparable in a gritty sense of the word for like some of these rated R titles, because Disney's not going to pump it full of sex, so you already don't have to worry about
Star Wars
a lot of
Well,
R
not in your
content
face
there.
sex. It'll be
It'll be Star
tucked
Wars
away.
sex. You're not worrying about profanity because when have you ever heard the Star Wars character drop, an F-bomb or?
I fucking know.
I fucking love you.
Luke, I'm your fucking father.
No!
Fuck no!
I'm sorry. There's someone's gonna leave a comment and be like, "That's not the line." I am your fucking father.
Search your fucking heart. You know it to be fucking true.
Dude, how much hard hitting? Fuck.
These are not the fucking droids you're looking for.
Anakin, you're fucked. I have the fucking high ground.
Speaking of which, the other TV series that I'm extremely excited for, Ewan McGregor is back, baby.
Yes. Ewan McGregor
For Moulin
is
Rouge
going-
2. Electric Boogaloo.
for an Obi-Wan series.
Yeah,
There's
Obi-Wan.
no name.
Nice.
It's just Obi-Wan
And
series.
it's apparently taking place 8 years after Revenge of the Sith. And we'll be kind of going over his time on Tatooine, looking over Luke.
Cool.
So we'll see how that goes. I'm just excited to see.
The show is called My Ghost Dad.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see Ewan McGregor return to the role. I think he's a great actor.
He was the best part of the prequel movies.
Yeah, and
Liam Neeson.
And Liam Neeson, but
he
Liam Neeson
is-
was there for one.
Yeah,
He is related.
He got cut in half.
He's actually related to Sir Alec Guinness. Like, actually.
Really?
So, yeah, so the older he gets, the more he's probably going to look like Sir Alec Guinness.
What?
That's pretty rad.
My favorite little bit of trivia about Ewan McGregor is he has a brother who's a pilot, and he named his plane Obi-2.
Yes.
That's a Brooks joke.
Every time he takes off the point, they're like,
He's fucking back.
But I'm very
Sir,
excited
you need
for
to put
both.
on your navigational computer.
So yeah, in general, I'm pretty stoked for Disney Plus.
I already bought it.
Oh, did you? I'm just
Sell out.
Oh, you did the 3
What, you're too good to pirate like the rest of us?
There is so for anyone who
It's a
doesn't
commitment.
know, there's a thing that you can a special that they're running right now that you can buy 3 years of Disney Plus, and they give it to you for like $3.50 a month over that entire period of time. So I had some PayPal credit, and now I paid $120 for 3 years of Disney Plus. So
Time well spent.
I will continue to give Disney 0 of my dollars.
I've already
watch
Disney already
Disney Plus.
owns me.
Watch Disney Plus fail within the first 6
Oh,
months.
Yeah, it just takes a huge dive.
There's
and then
no
you're out.
way.
it's the XFL of television.
Don't put that evil on me.
It's gonna come out so hard, and then just.
I'm waiting for it to be Hulu add-on. I'm just going to add it down to my Hulu.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I already have the Hulu Spotify thing, so I wasn't gonna get the whole the
Hulu-fi.
3-pack anyway.
Oh yeah. What else do we got?
Well, we got. Speaking of TV shows, we're gonna talk. Or I think the Dark Crystal TV show dropped
out,
this
yes.
last week.
I watched
right?
the first episode of that yesterday.
It looks good. Is it good?
It is very good.
I didn't
It's
realize
very
until it came out that it was like split up in episodes. I thought it was going to be another like
just a
full-length
movie?
Yeah. So that's really kind
Yeah.
of cool. I think that just kind of is a mirror
Gelfling.
of our culture today. People are kind of only in little parts. You know, everybody's busy.
I
Yeah.
like the TV. I like how we've seemingly switched to episodic TV series rather than movies, just because you get more you get more time with the characters, and you get
Right.
to learn more about this. Be in that world longer.
Instead of a 2-hour movie, you get an 8-hour movie.
Yeah.
essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, split up. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I like to think of Will and Grace as like a 24-hour movie.
yeah, just constant.
I like to think of
Like
actually
24 hours might be an
life.
understatement.
Will
I
and Will,
love
yeah, I was
this
going to say Will and
show.
Grace is way longer than 24 hours.
Well, there's a couple of movies.
My favorite Will and Grace is the Will and Grace sequel.
Bill and Grace.
I'm
Bill
a
and Ted.
Dharma Greg fan myself. Dharma, you're just so crazy. I'm straight-laced and normal. How did we get married? Shucks.
Why do we have a skee ball machine in our basement now? That was a real episode. It's like the only one I remember.
I've never seen a moment of Dharma and Greg.
Well, you're not missing out.
That sounds like very CBS-ish.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Very CBS.
Well, World of Warcraft.
Ooh, wow.
World of Warcraft classic.
Classic.
Came out.
My favorite part of this whole thing is people queuing up for quests. It's hilarious. Just
My
literally
favorite-
getting into line, waiting to get to quest part so they can.
My favorite part of the whole thing is multiple hour server queues.
Isn't that mostly only for the original, the really popular server from back in the day, which I'm totally blanking on the name of it right now. It's not all of the servers, because they have multiple servers, but there's that one
I don't know. I always played on Sargeras back in the day.
I never...
Wow.
White Frost? Something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah,
All I know is this is all the perfect representation of what an MMO actually is. Waiting in line to perform menial tasks that have no reward. World of Warcraft fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It sucked when you were 10, it sucks now, and it's gonna suck forever.
It didn't exist when I was 10.
Yeah, well.
We forget you're old!
I'm pretty sure smartphones didn't exist when you were 10 either.
You're right.
Yeah. You just
Smartphones didn't exist when you were 10.
Nope. I was making your old joke, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you're old.
But now you're old.
We're all old. Let's just admit it.
Don't let his beardy face fool you.
I might be the youngest person in the room. How old are you?
I'm 32.
I'm 26.
You baby.
I'm still the oldest in the room at 36.
Dun, dun, dun. You're gonna die.
Well, thanks for the cool story, Grandpa. Can we go out and hoverboard with my friends? Oh wait, no, that's an old thing now. I can't even make that joke.
So I picked up Astral Chain on Friday because it came out on Friday. It is fucking awesome. Good Lord. It is a rad game. Full of anime tropes.
Super anime.
But
is there someone who has more potential than they realize, and then are coached by a mentor until they finally realize their true potential?
No, because the true potential is inherent potential that they just kind of stumble into because they're a savant.
Oh,
It's that which is also an anime trope.
Yeah.
It's the other version. It's
Yeah.
not a coming of age story. It's just the overpowered badass story.
You are the chosen one.
Yes.
Does your character question the reasons for their conflict? Like, what are they fighting for?
Not yet.
I do.
Not yet, but it is definitely setting up for it. And the big head of the department that you work for, we've already now seen him in a room with dark room with big screens with 3 blocks representing unseen puppet masters asking him questions and things like that. So like very similar to watching Shinji's dad in Neon Genesis Evangelion talk to the other heads of Nerve. It's that kind of big, deep organization running thing.
See, I already know I'm not going to give a shit about the story in that game. Like, I just want to get it for that sick Platinum Games combat, because you know it's going to be rad.
The combat is fucking awesome.
It's
Perfect.
Fluid as
super
fuck.
cool.
And it is presented in a way that is very familiar to you, in that you get graded after every encounter.
I wonder where I've heard that before.
I mean, it was present in Bayonetta, and it's probably started with Devil May Cry.
It's been in
I guess.
so many Japanese games in general. I don't know. I just talking about like bad anime tropes in stories. I wish more Japanese anime games would like embrace how shitty the stories are and just ham it up. Again,
There are some.
like Devil May Cry who just
Bayonetta.
embraced how fucking dumb it is, and Bayonetta too.
Bayonetta
like,
was definitely just like hamming it up the entire time.
yeah.
They did not give a shit.
to me, that's always it's so much better.
Yep.
Japanese storytelling satire is better.
Hello,
than,
I'm Bayonetta.
than
I'm a
the
witch made of
storytelling.
hair.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Her clothes are made of hair, Brooks. Get it right.
Yeah, so whenever she does something really big and angry, she's naked.
Yep.
I'm naked and also saving my childhood self, or something like that.
Is she British?
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is British. That's
Yes,
right.
she is.
I'm
Yes,
the witch.
Tyler.
Yes.
The full circle of British.
I kill angels because it's edgy.
So basically, the story is humanity. Most of the planet is uninhabitable, and where you're living is called the Ark.
How
and
original.
humanity is quickly facing extinction because these rips in the universe are happening where these interdimensional beings are coming through and either stealing people and converting them into chimeras, or just killing them, causing havoc and stuff like that. And so you are part of a force that has... they have done research to kind of chain chimeras. So they capture chimeras and then they chain them and armor them. And so that astral chain, the whole throwing around, that's basically a pet leash. And so you're throwing your pet out to fight for you and then pull him back with the chain. Like it's that kind of thing.
Was Michael Vick a creative consultant?
There's they
Not
haven't
enough animal violence. We're gonna go back.
they haven't touched too much on the obvious element of personal agency of the chimera, and things like that. So it's interesting. Honestly, I think the story is kind of neat. But man, the combat is fucking outstanding.
Even at the beginning, before you really start, because I've only played the first chapter so far, or the first file. Even at the beginning, when it's like you don't have the combos yet, and they're just setting it up, it still feels fun. Like it grabs you and just immediately. I was playing it like I almost was late. Or I was late today because I was playing it.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, I must not leave yet. And then,
have you met the P Fairy yet?
no, I literally finished the first file and then had to come over here.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, talking about storytelling cliches and how this game is full of tropes, you're not helping because when you described this mysterious enemy that's abducting and converting people, it just reminds me of the Reapers, which were also really shitty enemies from Mass Effect. Like, it's the exact same thing.
They're different because they have different names.
They're different because they're Japanese.
Yeah.
I will say the story so far, at least for me, it's presented in an interesting way. The sound is really good. Like the sound design's amazing. I was like kind of,
and
loving...
it really shows you what they can achieve on the Switch when it's a Switch exclusive. The graphics are really good. And the animation, everything really nice, like very high quality. I have been playing it on the big screen, and it usually like playing a Switch game between handheld and the big screen, it's actually going to look better on the handheld than it will, on the big screen.
Things always style better on Nintendo hardware when they're developed specifically to make the best of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me, there is some dumb bullshit going on with Astral Chain.
Uh-oh.
Is it the game?
Dun,
Okay.
dun.
They're getting review bombed on Metacritic with zeros
What?
By
That's
whom?
terrible.
by people who are mad that it is a Switch exclusive.
Tips.
Lame.
Tips Fedora.
Yeah.
Tips Medora.
Yeah.
Lame.
Like, this is the first time you've ever encountered a console exclusive. You're just mad that it's on Nintendo instead of your beloved X-Boner or fucking, PlayStation.
How am I supposed to jerk off to anime characters if I don't own a Switch?
My Xbox One can handle this game much better than the far inferior Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. It's fucking stupid.
That's dumb. Don't review bomb things.
Well, other people have come out to review bomb it with 10s.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Don't review bomb things.
Stop.
We want accurate metrics out there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate if they don't even have a system to play it and they're reviewing it.
Yeah. Yep. It's fucking
This game
dumb.
is stupid because I can't play it. Dead.
Hate it.
Wow. I'm reviewing this game that I haven't played. See the internet.
Yeah.
The trailer
Yeah.
looks bad.
Unrestricted public access to things is usually bad.
I'm going to flag the Switch logo as some kind of offensive hate speech thing.
What else do we have on that list that we wanted to touch on this week?
Let me see. Well, speaking of us, Nintendo, there's the Mario Kart Tour mobile game.
Oh, yes, that's right. So coming out next, it was just announced. Coming out next month is another Nintendo mobile game that is going to pale in comparison to its real counterpart, except for Super Mario Run was actually
I
kind of
like
neat.
Super Mario Run.
But like Dr. Mario, I was never an Animal Crossing guy, so I don't really care about the Animal Crossing mobile
I gave it a
game.
shot for a little bit, and it was pretty good. I just stopped playing it because I don't care.
Good sell. Good sell. And this is going to be Mario Kart on vertical mobile.
Mario?
Yeah.
Mario. But I think it comes out next month, if I remember correctly.
Watch, it's gonna be the greatest game of all time, and we're gonna be documented as saying bad stuff about it. It's like as soon as you
Wouldn't it be
turn
the
it on,
first
it's just
time
like it's like you're in, man. It's like you're in.
Wouldn't it be the first time I was
Deja
wrong
vu.
about something?
I have been in this place before.
I'll be gaming Citizen Kane.
P.S.
Oh, no.
Citizen game.
Anyone listening to or watching this, we're not the authority. We don't claim to be the authority. We are the authorities of our own opinions and nothing more.
And I'm barely that.
We're also the authority of Tyler's opinions as well.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think I just
An amendment. We are the authorities of our own shitty opinions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because all opinions are shitty.
Yes.
Exactly.
opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one.
Boo.
Yeah.
Big ol'
Thanks,
boo.
Dad.
Boo. Boo.
Oh, man. And, also,
I'm gonna need a supercut of no, specifically of Tyler going right in my ear.
Every time.
wear fucking plugs.
That was a pretty good
dude.
Tyler impression, by the way.
Oh.
I don't know. He needs to, you need to get a little bit more of that castrato in there.
Listen, man, if I wanted to talk about Italian food, I'd go to Olive Garden. Okay.
No, he's literally just telling me that I have more balls than he does.
Oh, I know.
That's very very.
They're
bold
not
of
quite
you, Tyler.
tanuki balls.
Not quite tanuki balls. So we've got our guest here, Aaron. I figure.
What?
When did he get here?
So Aaron, is there anything that you get super like? And keep in mind, nerdy and getting nerdy about something are two different things.
Oh yeah.
So what gets you? What do you
what do
nerd
I
out
nerd
about?
out about? Well, currently what I've been nerding out about is the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
Ooh,
I actually wrote that on the list before I got here.
I
love that
really
movie.
wanna see that.
You know
I
what's
saw
funny? I saw it the premiere on Friday, and then we went to go see it Saturday and Sunday, and then we went to go see it just the other night.
God damn.
It's that fucking
It's
good. No joke.
so good.
It is really.
It
I'm a
is so
Tarantino
good.
fan. I really am a Tarantino fan.
Brooks has said that he thinks it's Tarantino's best.
I agree. I've never seen a movie that many times in theaters. You know, it's funny. Like my favorite thus far was Hateful Eight. I don't know how you guys feel about that one. I
thought it was kind of.
I never finished it because it's kind of long.
I like dialogue movies. My fiance's favorite movie is Death Proof, and that one's just like
Yeah.
Death Proof
constant
is rad.
dialogue.
I want
And
that car so bad.
Yeah, at first, I really didn't like the movie, but she loves it, so we constantly watched it, and it really grew on me. And I was like, I kind of got used to that style of the dialogue, so that's why I loved Hateful Eight. But I fucking love Once Upon. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I never noticed the time.
Yeah,
Really?
and then when it's over, I'm just like, fuck, I want more
Yeah,
movie because I want to hang out with these people.
Yeah, for real, man.
It's great that apparently all the set work, and I'm gonna sound terrible, and Danny's gonna wring my neck for not representing this as well as I should, but I know there's a great deal of restoration done to the Hollywood Strip for quite a lot of the movie. And that soundtrack, dude. I got that soundtrack as soon as I left the theater.
Yeah, my fiance bought it too, totally. But I always love watching is when they're driving like on the freeway, like looking at all the other cars. And,
Yeah.
like, that's like a little thing, but it's huge, to just put yourself in that time period.
Yeah.
It's really nuts. But it's funny because I always do this with movies. I like to learn as little as possible going. So when I first watched the movie, I didn't know it was about the Manson murders and everything like that. So
Yeah, I had seen that Sharon Tate and Manson were like in one of the trailers.
that
I
was
watched.
totally
I was
over
like,
my head.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even.
I thought it was gonna be like a bit, like oh look, it's these people like in the background somewhere,
Well, we were talking about that Margot Robbie thing. honestly, when I first saw it, I thought Margot Robbie was going to be like a killer in the movie because there was this scene where she's like going to the movie and she's like, "Yeah, I'm in the movie," and like there's an angle, and I don't know, it made me think that she was like psychotic or something. I was like, okay, she's crazy in this movie.
She's
too.
pulling out the Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I was like, all right, okay, let's go. This is going to be this movie. But,
It was so good. It was
Fun
so
fact
good.
about Manson in Once Upon a Time. He's also the same actor who plays Manson in that. Also in Mindhunter.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the same guy.
Yeah, I learned that later too. Yeah, he's great at it too.
Yeah.
Freaking
No, he killed it.
incredible.
Well, that's the thing. Like when I first saw it, like there's a little scene with him in it, but it's like really small, you know. Like so, I didn't know it was about the Manson. I was like, what was that about? But it still had weight to it, you know. When I saw it, I was like, who is that scary guy? You know, like something about that dude. He really is something crazy about him. So
Yeah,
I really like
the rant that he ends up going on in Mindhunter is just so good, and like he fucking plays a great Manson.
Yeah.
Really great Manson. Which are words that I never thought I would be saying. Great Manson. Great dude with a swastika on his forehead.
Dude, it sounds
great Manson.
it sounds terrible, but have you heard any of his music?
Not bad.
I
Well,
think they play some of his music in Mindhunter.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I kind of like some of his music. I hate saying it, but he had some bops here and there. Yeah, it feels really weird to say, but...
And now let us show you we have an original Hitler here.
I really wish things would have worked out differently for him. Who knows?
Don't turn Manson into a sympathetic character on our podcast, please.
Right? Please.
So, aside from that, though, you are big into music, and honestly, we don't talk about it a ton, but we're all huge music fans. Brooks having been in bands, and Tyler now in a band, I guess.
Yeah, what is this band name?
It's where we are a cover band. Actually.
Oh, nice. Hey, I love
it's
cover
my
bands.
first time that I've ever been in a band.
No, that's cool.
So,
yeah. One of my best
right now
buddies
we're
plays
just-
in a cover band.
We're called Earl Drive, and we're just starting out. It's the first time I've ever been in a band. I've only been there
I
like
love
two or three.
You're playing
80s.
no your instrument. You
Oh, I'm a
personally.
singer.
He sings.
Oh, cool, nice man. Hell yeah. Couple
And
singers, nice.
I was in a couple of bands back in Wisconsin, one called Sparkle Fuck and one called Made of Blocks. And Dan also listens to music.
Yeah. I have no talent.
Dan listens to 2, maybe even 3 bands.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but you know of music. You
Music
you have
before.
knowledge.
Passive noise that does not annoy me as much as other noises do.
No,
Get out of my head.
but that is something I also nerd out on is local music. There's
Yeah.
a lot of talent in Arizona. I go over it all the time. It's a melting pot in Arizona.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of genres, all sorts of people, and all sorts of music that comes from it. So I love that.
And I want to say, I think what you're doing with the AZ Local Show, every scene needs that.
Yeah.
And too few have it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
And, in Wisconsin, we had a dude who did a thing called Wisconsin.
Oh, nice.
And
Yeah, that's great.
every year we'd also do a local love fest where local bands would do a cover of another local band, and we'd release it as an album and then play a show.
Yeah, a whole bunch of bands covering. Oh, yeah, that's great.
And
That's a
it's
cool
all
idea.
local
That's a really
stuff.
cool idea.
But yeah, I think that what you do is extremely, extremely important to a strong scene and to raising awareness of that scene, especially because a lot of these local bands, never mind popular bands, don't really know how to market themselves very well, and local bands are still kind of trying to wrap their head around the whole marketing thing. And so to have someone like you bring attention to them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
is-
no, and that's really a really fun part is talking to the bands. But you know what my favorite part is when I do talking to people at shows and gaining fan perspectives, because that's really what the show is about is getting the public aware of how fun shows are, and like, man, that looks like a fun time. There's people there going to be like-minded, and that's really what it was. And it kind of a lot of the times changed my perspective on a lot of things, because I would ask people questions at the shows, like, take for instance, one was wearing your own band shirt. You know, that was for me going into it.
I think I answered that question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for a long time, I thought that was super cringy. But gaining so many perspectives, I was like, you know what? It's like it's a business. if you're proud of what you're doing, why wouldn't you want to do that? Yeah. So I do it all the time now. I wear my own band shirt because of that. So I hope it does stuff like that for other people too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you have to be the first fan of something you create.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, why the fuck would anybody else?
true.
Yep.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's a really
Yeah,
good
I
point.
mean that's marketing. Like step one is
Believe
if
in
you
what you're
don't,
selling.
yeah, if you don't
Or
like
making.
what you're putting out there, if you don't like what you're selling, it's not going to sell.
Nope.
Which is why we're all getting Topless Robot logo tattoos.
No joke. I probably will.
Yeah, right. Bring in the artist.
All right, and
Filmed in
we've
front of a
got the
live
tattoo
studio
artist.
audience. I actually know someone who would probably be down to just, we just film them doing Topless Robot tattoos.
I absolutely would get a Topless Robot tattoo.
That would be
I would
great.
too.
So would
That'd be- It's
Yeah.
kind of a cool logo in general.
Right here.
Yeah, right.
No, right here.
So-
Right next to speak friend and enter.
Why does your ass say melon?
Melon. So, how long have you been doing the AZ Local show now for?
Geez, it hasn't been very long because I did like a season 1, which was about 12 episodes where I interviewed 12 bands. And then more recently, I've just been doing like one-on-ones with like other people that do interviews. So I'd say maybe a half a year, if that, maybe a little bit longer than that. But it actually started because I was doing AZ Local covers. And if you look up that hashtag, it's everywhere.
I remember you were doing that. You were posting that in the AZ Punk Scene group. all the time.
Yeah. For literally like 2 years, I was just keeping my ear to the ground. I would just find bands that had music videos. I'd learn like a minute's worth of their song by ear. And then I'd post it on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere. And that's kind of how that really networked me and really helped me in a lot of senses and getting people to know who I was. And that's really what at that point in mind, I wanted to be a studio guitarist and I had the big dreams of doing that. So that's why I was doing that. But I was just kind of banking off of that momentum. That's why I started AZ Local Show and started getting that going. And I was also working at Band Oasis and I was already talking with bands that were coming in, which is a rehearsal studio.
Yeah, that's in Scottsdale, right?
Yeah, right next to Club Red.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally right next to Club Red. So I was already talking to bands that were coming in.
Yeah.
And Jim and Donna.
I'd
right
always
there.
wondered about those practice spaces because like I used to rent it at Mind's Eye.
Oh, okay, yeah.
on Country Club, yeah.
Yeah, I love Band Oasis. It's been my home away from home for like the past 5 years. It's only in the past maybe year and a half that I've started working there, but it's awesome. Like I remember one of my first nights working there, I was talking with a guy and he was waiting for a bassist to come in. And, we're just shooting the shit for a while. And next thing I know, I'm Googling him. He was a Grammy winner. He'd worked with like Whitney Houston.
Holy
a bunch
shit.
of other people in
Yeah.
the 90s and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, this is amazing. That was literally my first night working there. I was like, all right, well,
That's
this is really
nuts.
cool. So, yeah, so I love it. I love music. I love just networking with people. I love what it can do. And it's just really cool. It's a really good feeling that you can get from music and networking with people and just realizing that we're all the same in different ways.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I like highlighting that with the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I love the format. I love, I definitely love the interviews with the concert goers and shit like that.
Yeah.
Are there any, like the concert goer interviews where maybe someone was a little too drunk or
I've gotten some like I don't know. Sometimes something happens with people. Like they'll be like, hey, you want to do this interview? They're like, oh yeah. And then when you turn on the camera, they're like
Yep.
freeze up or something. I've had a couple like really drunk guys like where I wanted to get like an older opinion or something, and they just like clam up once I turn on the camera. They're like, "No, Metallica."
How's it been? Good.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's that, but nothing too terrible. I did one time we were doing one at Club Red, and my camera guy unfortunately bumped a beer from somebody's hand, and that was a bummer. So we were the bad people for a second. I owe you that beer, Stephen Puff. I'm sorry.
That
all right.
tells me you care. You remember his name.
Are there any that you had to cut for any reason other than these answers are uninteresting?
Really just audio difficulties in some
Oh,
things.
yeah.
No, never really. I always like to include everybody. I mean, with those questions at shows, they're always clips. I always have that one question. Where it would be the bands wearing the shirts. It would be just a clip of everybody answering that one question. So every once in a while I'd find somebody that was, I didn't find interesting enough for the show, or maybe it was just too quick of an answer. But it is always a bummer when I get a lot of footage and then realize later like the mic wasn't on or something like that. Oh my God. That is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
There goes,
This robot's never done anything like
yeah,
that.
Of
right?
course
Oh,
not.
We've lost hours and
Never.
hours
Isn't it?
of
Yeah.
footage in Let's Plays and stuff like that. Like, we've lost full gameplay footage.
I think
like,
it was
Segments.
my first interaction with Topless Robot was we recorded, was it Transference?
Yes.
And the
Yes.
hard drive ran out of space like
Yep.
2 minutes into recording.
Oh my
and we recorded it for 3 hours. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, hey, nice to meet you guys. All right.
Yeah.
That was the game with the that was
That was the game with the live action stuff in it that from Elijah Wood's
Spectre
company,
Vision.
Spectre Vision.
Yeah. Okay.
That was actually us firing you. You just kept
yeah, right.
I'm trying to fire him for a whole year now.
I guess he gets a muffin.
Oh man.
So I figure it's only fair that since
fair.
you are to be fair,
I'll work on that.
since you are the interviewee in this case, I think it's only fair that I ask you some band questions.
Oh snap! Let me give him bad.
Let
mode.
the vetting
Let me give him bad
begin.
mode. Hold on.
We need the wax. Get the makeup artist. Get the makeup artist.
Okay.
Got to curl
Okay.
up the fucking
All right,
size of
here
the
I am,
mustache.
guys. This is band mode
This
here.
isn't even his final form.
What is your favorite local band?
Ooh, I know so many local bands. For a long time, it was Animus Complex. I do because they get a lot done. And I'll be honest, I'm a metal fan, so I listen to a lot of metal first and foremost. But my current favorite band is Scylla. And not just because one of my best friends is Ruben and he plays guitar. It's just because I know him and I know how hardworking they really are, and they just get a lot of done. So
They're great. They
yeah,
are
I
very good.
love
We've had
Scylla.
them at the Grid before.
Yeah, I went to. That was my
Yeah.
first experience at the Grid, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the Scylla show. So that's when I fell in love with it. I was like, this place is fucking. Well, when I first heard about the Grid, I thought it was just like an arcade place. I didn't realize it was like the personal consoles. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool. So, but yeah, Scylla's always my favorite nowadays. I think they're just getting a lot done, and they're not like really braggy about it. I think a lot of bands are like, oh, big news coming soon next week, or this is coming soon, and it's just like whatever. Just let the work speak for itself. You know?
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person. You know, so it's Scylla's number one in my book.
Can you separate the art from the artist?
Yeah, I think we talked about Manson and.
He did give his answer on that one.
I suppose so.
For the most part, yeah. You know what? Ignorance is bliss. I stand behind that. It really is. I like art. I like to experience art in all forms. I think we can gain perspective from any person's unique outlook on life. Another example is Hitler did do some paintings. I don't know if you've seen those. But
They weren't very good. They got him kicked out of art school.
I think they're pretty.
Topless
pretty
Robot
intense.
Podcast canceled for being Hitler apologists.
But
First Charles Manson and Hitler. Come on, man.
I don't want to be that guy, but obviously there's a terrible
Art critics hate him.
Another big one that we were talking about. Still one of my favorite movies is American Beauty, and
Yeah.
Kevin
Yeah.
Spacey is a very terrible person. And
Correct.
obviously there's that, but he didn't write the movie. He didn't create the scenes. He didn't do any of that stuff. So that's still one of my favorite movies. And
No, but his performance was outstanding.
yeah. Well,
Much
it's
like it
probably
was in
because
that
it's real, honestly. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was like,
right.
"Oh, I have to touch this 18-year-old girl." Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Little did we know it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't the age that was the real, the fake thing. It was the sex.
Yeah. It's like, ugh, weird.
Internet and streaming services for music. Hurtful or helpful?
I've asked this question plenty of times. It's both. It really is. I think the number one with bands and what they need to realize is the follow-up. A lot of bands, they'll do a music video and they just release it. And they get that fanfare that day or two or week, but if they don't have that show coming up at the end of the month or that CD release coming up right after, then they lose everything and all that momentum that goes with it. So I think people really need to take advantage of that and knowing their market. Facebook is becoming an older platform. I think so.
What are you talking about? I look at Facebook every day.
Quiet, Grandpa. Have your applesauce.
I've come to realize it. So depending on the band you are and who you're trying to reach.
But then what are the alternative delivery methods? The kids are using Instagram and Snapchat. Are the kids still using Snapchat? Why do I keep saying the kids?
Yeah.
Because you're old?
Well, they are. The kids are these days because I have little brothers and sisters and I ask their opinions all the time. But yeah, they're using that and other stuff I've never fucking heard of. Grindr.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Why did you point at me?
Grindr?
It's the perfect place to advertise your death metal band.
But seriously,
just make a Grindr profile and just have it be your album art.
But oh man, they swiped right.
on that point, I remember from a friend I heard there was a band on Pornhub commenting their band and advertising. Not me personally on Pornhub, obviously.
Obviously not.
They were commenting their band like my band slams harder than this guy's dick or something like that.
No, that's the type of shit you gotta get super creative these days.
Yeah, literally.
Like straight up, if I was on a dating app service and I just I go to the next profile and it's just someone advertising their band, I'm probably gonna check out that band because those people have balls.
But I remember I looked up that band and everybody in the comment commenting I found this band because of Pornhub, I found this band because of Pornhub. But hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
You know, it's just knowing your market. So
and that shit's free.
Yeah. So yeah, it really is just knowing your market and the follow-up. That really is the best way to utilize social media because it can be a double-edged sword. It really can. It can help you and hurt you every time.
Right on.
Yeah.
And one last question. Can you think of, for you, what was a musical... basically, everyone's got a musical awakening moment. What was your musical awakening moment?
Ooh, I always know this one because I used to be a little shitty punk kid. And I went to the Mason Jar for a punk show.
Mason Jar.
Yeah, right? And I remember it was one of my favorite bands was playing The Unseen, and they tacked on a local band at the end called Toxic Narcotic. I don't know if anybody knows Toxic Narcotic, but they were like a bridge between punk and more like thrashy metal bands. And I stuck around. Everybody left because it was a punk show, and they didn't know who this metal band was. And I stuck around and watched them, and I was just like, this is awesome. This is louder and angrier. This is everything that I want right now in my life. And that was it. Like being at the show and just meeting them afterwards and just knowing that they were people, and everyone leaving was almost like the best part of it because it made me realize that what it meant to that band having someone stick around, and to watch them. So that was really a huge moment for me and wanting to be in a band myself and play shows. And on that note, when I finally played Rebel Lounge, everyone knows that Switch. Yeah. It was huge for me because that's where I first saw shows, and it was humongous, to actually play a show there and be on the turntable of it. So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I remember you're talking about being the kid who stayed, basically. When I was living in Gainesville, Florida, there's this spot called the CMC. It's a Civic Media Center, and it's basically like an anarcho library. Where it's all kinds of alternative press kind of stuff, and it's a cool little kind of open to everyone spot. Then they'd host shows there sometimes, and so when I was a little kid, I mean, I couldn't drive, so I must have been in 8th grade. I went to a show at the CMC because this pop punk band from New York was playing, and I wanted to check them out. I was the only one in the audience for this band called The Youth Ahead. And they gave me a ride home after the show.
That's awesome. That is really
That's
cool.
nice. Well, I mean, if we're talking...
a narrow miss on a child abduction story.
This pop punk band from New York.
Yeah. We haven't heard of that story before.
Oh, shit,
Were
man.
they
That
also
is cool,
riding
man.
a
That
red
is-
GMC?
Long story short, I haven't seen my parents since I was in 8th grade.
But that is always great when you finally break that wall of like wow, these are humans. These are people. You know? Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Well,
They drove me back to New York and said, "We are your new daddy now."
you're all my dad.
They dyed his hair blue so his parents wouldn't recognize him.
Anyways, that's how I made it to Arizona.
Their tour bus died, and they kicked me out.
But so on that note, we have reached the end of the podcast. Aaron, why don't you tell all of the lovely folks out there where we can find your work with Forming Stories with AZ Local Show?
Well, Forming Stories you can find basically everywhere. I recommend Bandcamp because it's free.
So Forming Stories is in my bathroom right now. If I go and look,
if you go in there, we should be in there. As I talk to my people, we should be in there. Yeah, I always like to look at this guy when I clarify it.
They're non-threatening.
My people.
They replaced all of your toilet paper with links to the website.
Ooh, they're 4-ply.
Oh yes, this is great.
oh my God.
But yeah, I always recommend Bandcamp. YouTube, we have full streams of albums and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, we just released a new single, which I'm really proud of. It sounds really good. And that's always the best part of music, right? That it sounds good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's the important part.
But yeah, we're just a little instrumental band. I don't get too big on doing that. You know, I always like talk to people. There's difference between rock stars and musicians, and I just want to be a musician. You know,
Fair.
I just like releasing music and seeing what it does. AZ Local Show is my biggest focus right now, and that's YouTube based. You can find just AZ Local Show. It's just that title. We also release everything on Facebook and Instagram at AZ Local Show. But yeah, eventually I do want to do podcasts. I know it's the way to go. I'm more of a visual guy right now. I don't know how the audio works. I feel like is there a big market for it? I don't know.
Well, it's like watching a video, but you're closing your eyes the
Right?
entire time.
That's what I've gathered. Every time I blink, I'm like, this is kind of like that, right? But
Close your eyes and you're listening to a
oh
podcast.
God! Yeah,
Well,
Podcasts
considering
are
I
the
listen to a
talk radio
podcast while
of a
I'm
new
driving most of the
generation.
time, that would not go over well.
No, it would not.
but I
Or
do,
depending on your outlook on life, it could go great.
It could go great.
but I do always like real quick with you guys asking podcast people, like, do you think it's hard holding people's attention? Because you guys do like hour-long episodes. I always try and do like 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe.
Well,
So we have the advantage of there being 4 people, if not more than that, at any given moment. So it's a lot easier for us to hold attention when 3 people are quiet, thinking about the next thing to say.
Yeah. And
That's
but
true.
you know, aside from that, as to whether we hold the attention of our audience, I have no fucking idea. I know that we have people who keep coming back.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
our
I
big
assume
secret
that
is-
means they are listening to the full hour. Maybe they're just fast forwarding to the end and saying, "I just want to hear him say goodbye again."
You know,
Love
this
that
is really
Because my dad never said goodbye when he went to the store.
He said he was getting smokes and he never came back.
Yeah, our big secret to maintaining attention is we beat the guest up at the end of each episode.
Yes. So thank you for saying
Dan,
yes
where's
to
my
being a guest.
blackjack?
It's about time that we commit crimes.
Are we going to use the mace this week or the,
No.
the cat of nine
Brass
tails?
knuckles. It has to look natural.
Who brought the circular saw this week?
I love pepper.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me, boys. I really appreciate it.
We'll see you next week.
Wait, can we do this? Quack. Quack.
Quack.
Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Go Ducks.
Thanks for watching and or listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
I'm taking off today and breathe. Sometimes you have to sit if you want to make a stand. Make the shit, taking liberties. Taking liberties.
Luke, it says I'm locked out of my account again.
Yeah, let me tell you something, brother. You load the podcast with the rocket fuel, and you start the Mega Powers, and you hit that subscribe button. Ooh, I'm not gonna rip my shirt because it's the only one I have right now. Subscribe.